What's up? It's another fantastic, wonderful Monday night, and you are live with Hidden Treasures with Ayanna and Morris. And for those of you who watch our show weekly, you see that some things look a little familiar to you once again. So we are back together physically in the building, but as you already know, we're always together one way or another, and it does not stop our interaction with you all because you are the third host of this show. And so, speaking of which, we want you to get ready to talk to us live if you're on Facebook Live. We love you, our Facebook Live community. But also, you can call in at any point in time of the show. Our number is 914-969-MIXX. That's 914-969-6499. Ayanna, what's up, girl? How you doing?
It's a little brisk.
A little?
Outside. Earlier today it felt good. I was like, oh, the cool breeze is wonderful, blah, blah, blah. So, the day caught up with me, and now I'm like, brr, time to pull out the coat and all this other stuff. But then again, I don't know if tomorrow's going to be like 80.
That was actually the last thing I did before I left home just now. Like, I went in the winter bin, and I started pulling all the coats out because it is crazy out there.
Listen, the thing is, I just don't know. What is tomorrow going to be like? I know it's going to be like
I looked
70s.
it up. It's supposed to be a little cold again.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
See, I just don't
That's when
know.
I pulled out that stuff.
That's
yeah. 2 days in a row. That's all I need.
Yeah. All right, it's time to pull out the stuff. So I'm a little cold, but I'm in the house, and I'm grateful to God for an opportunity to be in the place. So shout out to all the viewers on YouTube, on In the Mix Radio, on Facebook Live. Loving it. As usual, it's going to be an awesome topic. So, to do, share us on Facebook Live, subscribe to us on YouTube, put the word out there. It's about to be on once again.
Yes, it is. How was your week? We haven't. I wasn't on last week, and so I did see the show. Fantastic show. Great comments. So keep those comments going.
Those comments going.
Great
comments.
My
Hidden Treasures community. I love ya.
Love y'all and love your comments. So, but how you doing though?
I am in process.
Things that make you go, what does that mean?
That's
a whole show.
That's a whole show. That's a whole show. You know what? That means I thank God for the ability to smile, but there's been some rough moments these past couple of weeks. Yeah. And some days, and so there were some days I didn't want to get out of bed. I got out of bed. I didn't want to leave the house. That's what it was. There were some days that was just like that, and then there were some good days too. And so I'm in process. That's real talk. I'm in process.
Yeah. I want to dig more, but I'm gonna leave it alone because I feel like that actually is a real show. Like that is a whole show. Like what do you do when you're in process? Like what does that even look like?
Yeah, we
like,
can talk about that for hours.
Yeah, but we won't today. So stay tuned for that show. That is not tonight's topic, but we have a topic for next week. Bless the Lord. Anyway, we're going to go to what y'all already know, which is our What's Happening Now segment. We're going to that video now, and then we're going to come back with our perspective, and maybe you'll come back with yours too.
Our president is all in the news all the time, and the country, it feels divided. And you guys being a source of inspiration, I want to ask, what would you as members of the church community tell the people in this time of strife? But Tina, especially because, in the internet, there was a lot of pushback against things you had said that people felt you were supporting the president and felt like you shouldn't have. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond or clarify.
First of all, I don't care to defend what I said, so just for anybody out there who has an opinion, have it. I put mine out there, and that's all I wanted to say. I am not pro what Trump is doing at all. I didn't like either one of the candidates, if I can be honest. If there was another choice, I would have picked another choice, but there was not another choice. And there was some views, some specific views that pertain to my Christianity that made me decide I'm not going to vote for the other candidate. Did I agree with everything that the candidate that I chose is doing? Good Lord, no. And I think that some of the things that are happening now are completely appalling. It's like, do you even respect this office? Do you even care for this country? I think some of the things that are happening that is just self-centered. It's not by, for, and about the greater good of the people. I think that the disunity in the country has a lot to do with the fact that we're making people enemies. We're making this country, we're making this person an enemy. We're making white and black an enemy, and we're making rich and poor an enemy. The enemy is the devil. That's who the enemy is. And so I choose to be mad at the devil, and I choose to fight on my knees. And I believe that when we're fighting on our knees, as Erica said, because I'm a Christian, first, I believe that when we fight on our knees, God gives us strategy on how to utilize our platform, how to change the laws, how to rally the forces and make a difference. And whatever it is that our governments are not doing, maybe we can be the people that do it in place of it. So I do believe that fall down to your knees and speak to God and ask God, what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to use all that I am to glorify you? I ain't black first. I ain't a woman first. I'm a Christian first. I'm a child of God, and my allegiance is to God first. I'm down with everybody. Those that are hateful and ignorant. You know what? I bet you if I let the devil consume me, I'd be ignorant just like you. So I have compassion for you. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the devil that's behind you because you his puppet. That's why you're acting like a clown. You know what I mean? So I choose to act, take my attention out there. I don't care to join the political game. That's why I couldn't be on the radio with Erica. I don't match that world.
You a puppet. You clown.
That's why you acting like a clown.
Oh my God.
Beyond the laughter, beyond all of that. I mean, I think I have a lot to say. So, for one, like this lady kind of she's been taking a hit. Like people are like really, really mad and like calling for boycotts and so on because of her political stance. Number one, I think it's always good when you have all the facts because this actually stemmed from an excerpt of a letter that she wrote back in January. This started all the way back in January. But it was just a line or two of the entire letter. So I think that it's important that we always get the full scope of things rather than just jumping on it. That's number one. But number two for me, I think beyond all of that is like I ain't really with it. Like I'm not with Trump, but I do respect the right for people to have their own opinion. And I do feel like we're kind of getting to a place where now if somebody has a difference of opinion than us, like either like you must be a racist, like that, like you're a racist or you are fully ignorant. And I don't think that we give anybody any space to have to think a little differently than we do. So for me, it's like I don't agree with you, and I think you got a problem. That you even think like that, but it's your right to think like that, and I don't really have much to say about it. And so I think to me, it's a problem when we don't give people the right to be who they are, to think how they think, to say what they want to say about it. That's my issue.
I think I have a problem with the assumptions sometimes that people make based off of one similarity that we may have. Yeah. And so the assumption is, well, if we agree on this, then we all think the same way about this. Right. And I think there's so many things that go into who we are as individuals, our experiences, where we are raised, whatever our stance is at that time, how we're feeling at that time, what that experience is at that time. And so no, we all are not agreeing on the same things. There are a lot of people that voted certain ways because of their Christian beliefs. For me, I like to separate my politics from my Christianity because I see politics taking everything as sort of propaganda. So they use your Christianity as propaganda. They'll use whatever as propaganda. Right. So I try not to say, well, this is the position that I vote on because of what they said, because I don't really believe them, right? Right. So, but the thing is, I think it is important that we need to be able to be free to agree to disagree. Right. About some things that are our personal preferences. I'm not talking about the foundational truths of God, right? But some things that make you you and make me me and make us different. It's all right to agree to disagree, and may not come on common ground on that, and that's okay, because some things are shaped by your experiences and some things are shaped by mine. But I just think we should not be so naive. Like, we're so naive to think that everybody's going to think the same, everyone's going to be in the same position. And people went to town on Vicky Yohe as well. And Vicky Yohe is a white Christian woman, gospel singer as well, and they were shutting down. But
they went to town about her on something else too.
But they went to town on her about the Trump thing too.
Well, it was Trump too. Yeah.
It was Trump and Christ related and all that whole thing and the comment behind it, right? But I mean, the thing is, they went to town on her and a couple of other people. So it's almost like we all supposed to think this way. Yeah. And don't assume that. I was on a trip just this past Saturday, and one person in the midst of us I know was a Trump voter, right? But the thing is, a lot of people will talk as if everyone there voted the same way, and I'm like, you really don't know how people are thinking of voting, like, So I just think we need not to be naive.
I agree. But also, if I can just add to that naivety, I think we also shouldn't be naive that because one person makes one comment that sounds a little Christian-like, that means that they're now everything that they're gonna do is gonna follow Christian principles. I think that that's a little silly. Like because you we already know we don't have to dance around it because I feel like she danced around it. So because he is anti-abortion means that now he is the person that we have to back for all. He's riding on the horse of Christianity. No, that was one issue that we seem to agree on, but that does not mean that you now represent all Christians. And I think that is our issue, is because we kind of pick and choose what we think is the hot ticket item that's going to make us a Christian. But that ain't the way that works. So yeah,
that's what's happening now. If you just tuned in and you didn't get a chance to see it, go back and watch it. I would love to hear what you have to say. You can make comments at any point in time in the show. If you could type fast enough, go ahead and type it up on Facebook Live. If not, you can call it in at 914-969-6499. I want to do some shout outs to our Facebook community.
Go for it.
Shout out to Tina Salmon Finley. What's up, girl? We see you. Paulette Henry, we see you. Lady Jean Johnson, we see you. Leano, my brother, he is on. Jonna, we see you. Did I miss anybody?
Jackie Monroe McCrae, huh, Jackie? That's my auntie.
Jackie, hey. Jamel, we see you. Some other people are tuning in. So we see you. And we not only want to see you, but we want to hear you, because we have a really great topic and you're going to love it. So I don't want to talk about that now, because we're going to go into what's happening in the community. And if you did not have an opportunity to share with us what is going on in your neck of the woods, it's because you didn't email it to us. So email us at hiddentreasuresam@gmail.com. Remember, if it's positive and if it's in alignment with the vision with the show, we want to announce what's going on with you, with your church, your business, your community, what's happening. There's a lot of great things that are happening and a lot more things that you can do as well. So we want to announce that as well. There's a lot of breast cancer walks that's happening and going on during this month. I know there's a lot of things happening on Sunday, but a lot of other events that are continuing throughout this month. This month is also known as Infancy and Pregnancy Awareness Loss Month. So if there's ways that you want to get involved with that, you can do that too. And also juvenile diabetes was also recognized during this month as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can get involved in and support and kind of bring awareness in your community. So that's part of what we want to shout out in the community. But let's take you to some events and some of the flyers up on the screen. Yes, there is still time. You know what? This has really been at the forefront of my mind. Building a Legacy Conference. Please go check it out. It's going to be facilitated by Rehoboth Christian Church, and it's taking place on October 21st. That's this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Refreshments are included, so they're not going to leave you thirsty. They're going to give you a little something to snack on too. $20 in advance, of $25 at the door. But it's really good information. Will and estate planning, investment planning, life insurance, kingdom building. If you have a spouse, if you have a child, if you have any loved ones, if you are connected to any ministry, you need to go out to this event and find out how you can be better connected and plan better. It's all about planning, all right? So definitely go and support and get this information. That's one thing that's happening in the community. We're going to go into the next event that's up there on your screen. I love it. Wrath Room, the explanation. That's Friday, October 27th. His wrath, his grace. #you choose. So listen, that too is happening at Rehoboth Christian Church. That's 115 South McQuestion Parkway. That is Friday, October 27th. What time is that event going to be beginning? What time?
7:30 p.m.
7:30 p.m. And as you see on the flyer, you can reach out to the emails that are there. jmoody@rehobothny.org or adavis@rehobothny.org for more info. Okay, that's for ages 16 and up only. Okay, so if you're under 16, can't come to this just yet, but listen, I'm intrigued. Are you intrigued? Wrath Room, go. There's a lot of great things happening, okay? That's on the 27th, so we got two things back to back. We're going to let you know going right into the beginning of November. Now, listen, all the parents that are out there, I want to see your children who are 14 and up, who are still single, send them out. If you are single, dated, separated, divorced, or widowed, listen, you're abstinent, you don't want to be, trying to be, wherever you are in the process, we're going to talk about Sex God's Way. That's Worth the Wait Symposium. Breakfast and lunch is provided. That too is only $25, and you can purchase your tickets online at Eventbrite. That is Saturday, November 11th from 9 to 4 p.m. It is going to be phenomenal is all I can say. It's not a youth conference. It's not a women's conference. It's for anyone 14 years old and up. There are going to be male presenters, female presenters of all ages. So definitely come out and be a support. That's what's going on in November. There's a lot of other things happening. I believe if it's going on in your neck of the woods, send it to us because we would like to announce it. But I can't stress enough, there are 3 great weekends we just announced: 21st, 27th, and then November 11th. Bring your people out and support in a big way. This is not just let me make you get sweaty and jump and shout, which is all wonderful too. You know, we all need that. But let's also feed your spirit, teach you how to plan, how to be prepared, and how to be really kingdom citizens. The kingdom of God, those type of citizens. That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. So that is what's happening in the community. We're going to go now to our music video of the week. Listen, let everybody know while this is playing that they need to be watching. Tune in. We're about to start our discussion immediately after this. We are going to Todd Galbraith. I want y'all to pick up his CD. This song is not on his CD, but pick it up anyway. It is actually an amazing CD. So pick that up. It just came out about a couple of weeks ago. But let's go to his video now. Todd Galbraith.
Healthy Church, are you ready? I said, Healthy Church, are you ready? Anybody ready for revival fire to fall tonight? If you're ready for the revival fire to fall, lift up your voice like a trumpet in Zion and give God glory! Come on and clap those hands in here. I feel an excitement in the atmosphere. Come on and clap those hands, everybody. Yes, sir. Father, we come to lift up your name in this place. Be glorified as we worship you tonight. Here we go. Say the name of Jesus, lifted high, lifted high, lifted high. The name of Jesus, lifted high. In this place, everybody say, the name of Jesus, lifted high. Come on and raise it in here. Come on. Lifted high. The name of Jesus, lifted high. Say in this place, the name of Jesus. Father, be glorified tonight as we worship you, as we give your name the glory. The name of Jesus, lifted high. Say in this place.
Todd Galberth. That's who that was.
Where's he from?
I don't know.
Okay. I thought you had a little more info on him.
Yeah, no, that's about it. That's it. That's all I got for you.
Ah.
He used to sing background for I'm about to lie. So never mind. Oh, James Fortune. That's who it was. Yes.
Okay.
So so he has a new EP that's out, and we support independent artists. He's an independent artist, and it actually really is like a fantastic worship CD. Fantastic.
Nice.
I actually love it. So go cop that, buy it. Don't just YouTube it, but buy it. That's a whole nother conversation. So we are ready for tonight's topic, because that wasn't it. So we're ready for tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is Nightmarish Dreams. Nightmarish dreams. That is our topic for tonight. So we want you to get ready to join in this conversation. Already we're starting with something that sounds pretty oxymoronic. Nightmarish dream. Like, how can you have a dream that is nightmarish? That doesn't fully make sense without explanation, but we're going to dive into that tonight. I want to remind you to call us 914-969-MIXX. That's 914-969-6499. And to be honest, this topic, shout out to Pastor Orson Burton Jr. He has been on a show, I think, twice, but he had the opportunity, shout out our YouTube channel, he had the opportunity to go back on our YouTube channel, and he watched the first time that he was on the show, which was about 4 years ago now. And he watched that, and we were talking about the pursuit of dreams, and he was talking about how much meat was in that video for him, and then obviously to see what all of us have done in the last 4 years, and really to see how we're really living the fulfillment of some of the things that we spoke while on the air 4 years ago. So that was amazing. But at the same time, that those dreams don't come without challenges. They don't come without some bumps along the road, some bumps in the road while you're in the actual dream. And then sometimes you actually get to the dream, the thing that you thought that you would be completely satisfied with, and once you actually got in it, it was like, oh, this is not exactly what I thought it would be. And so that is really where we are. Like, how do you deal with the challenges of your dream not being as smooth as you thought it would be, number one, or my dream actually not actually being what I wanted at all. I thought I wanted it until I got it, and now it's not so much a dream at all. Or lastly, the maintenance of that dream is an actual nightmare in itself.
And so I think I love the way you started that off, because let's address the fact that there are some dreams that come with challenges. That's not what we're talking about as the nightmarish dream. So our topic's nightmarish dreams, right? And so, but there are some things that come with dreams. Yeah. And I think we've been sold a lie, right? Walt Disney, the devil, sold us this lie.
The devil.
Sold us a lie, right? So we think it's happily ever after, and we're floating off, and so this is all but a dream, right? Life is but a dream, and we're all just floating off, and not realizing that with certain dreams comes certain things that we need to do to realize those dreams. And so there's some things that we have to activate, some things that we have to do that may not feel comfortable, that may stretch us a little bit, that may take us beyond our fears and our inhibitions, so that we can do what it is that we have dreamt to do. And sometimes I think what we've thought, dreams, it never showed effort, right? Dreams is like, oh, this is where I want to be, and I've just arrived there, and it's so wonderful, and everybody's smiling, and the dream is great, without really talking about the process of the dream. And I think sometimes when we think about fairy tales, you see a little adversity and, you know, some hardship, but we don't really get into the individual process in doing the dream, right? So
go ahead.
I'm talking about those challenges that come with dream. But what you have to say?
Well, because I think you really, I love the analogy that you're using, because I think even in the fairy tales, I think you see the adversity, but you see the adversity before you end in the dream, right? So the dream is and they lived happily ever after. The problem is that there needs to be a part 2 to all those fairy tales, because yes, we ended, we got what we wanted at the end of the story, but the story continues. And I think that's where we failed. We failed because we put a period where there should have been a comma, right? So it was, like I got what I wanted, but once I got what I wanted, there were also some challenges then as well. And so I think that's where we've gotten deceived in not being able to see that wasn't the end of the story.
Can I flow with these animations
Go
just
for
a little
it.
bit
Go
because
for
I
it.
like it. I want to say shout out to Rochelle Isaac. Hey, to Shauna Snipes. Hey, my sister. Those who are watching on Facebook Live, In the Mix Radio, and that much more. But you know what's so interesting though? What you? Who has something to say that?
Your husband.
I can't see all the comments, so I can't really.
Jamel Johnson said, sorry, I was thinking along the lines of those dreams we were having about being held down by evil spirits calling Jesus while not being able to move. Sir, that is not the dreams we talking about.
Yeah, we're not really getting to that level of nightmarish dreams, although those could be
That
those
is a
experiences.
nightmarish dream. That's just a straight nightmare. That's not a nightmarish dream. So.
But I'm gonna flow with the animations a little bit.
Yeah.
You talked about a lot of times we stop at Happily Ever After, and I go to Shrek. All right, because Shrek. I'm sorry, I like Shrek, but Shrek is the one show that we actually see after the Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, we start to see challenges in it. You see how there's kids, and Shrek is like, yo, what did I get myself into? The thought of, well, what if I never went this route? What would life have been like? And now that I'm sampling not being married anymore, I see what the end result would be, and that's not what I want.
Yeah.
And I actually think Shrek kind of gives us a taste of
Sure.
when you have your dream, right? But the challenges of being in the process of enjoying and living out your dream, right? And even when you have Fiona, it's like, look, this is what we wanted. We're married. Isn't this what you wanted? And he's like, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah, right.
So what is it that he expected? It was just gonna be him and her, and they're living in a tree and all up in the mud and all that good stuff. And that's it. No children, no problems, no trials, no friction, they're not skipping along anymore. And I think that's the one animation that begins to give us a glimpse of Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
And although they still have a happy ending, we do see some of the challenges that come with some dreams.
Yeah.
And so there are some dreams, all your dreams that I believe are God ordained, that are in alignment with your mission and your purpose in life, come with challenges. And I think we need to be realistic that all dreams are not floating out in the sky, but there are challenges that are there. We haven't even gotten to the nightmarish part of the dreams, though, but we're just talking about challenges with dreams. I wanted to make that distinction.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if we even take it out of the literal dream world for a second, but even think about the Word of God itself, right? So even as we begin to think about the children of Israel, right, and the promise, right? If we call it the promise is the dream, right? So the promise that God had for them, right? They get to the outskirts of the promise, and they find out that, wait, we got a problem. Like, there are people that already live here, right? So it's like, God, like, you promised us something, and there's this dream that we have, right? We've conjured up these thoughts about what it would be, but never did we think that we would actually have to fight in order to enter into the land that you promised for us, right? And so I think that's what we miss a lot as well, is that yes, there is a dream. Yes, God has given us some vision. Yes, there is a goal, but even as you get into it, like, there's some giants in there that you got to fight while you're living out the truth of your dream. It doesn't mean that it's not what God has for you. It just means that there's some work to still be done in order to possess what he told you.
You said living out the truth of that dream, and then you said before that what we conjure up about our dreams.
Definitely.
And I hope our listening community is hearing that. In Facebook community, if you have a comment about this part of what we're talking about, the challenges in your dreams, please shout it out or call it in 914-969-6499. But I think that's key, because there's some things about our dreams, there's some things that we get a glimpse of that we conjure up, this is how it's going to be, without
we fill
realizing
in the blanks.
we fill in all the blanks,
Yeah.
not realizing that we got to walk out these blanks, and these blanks are a little tough, right?
Yeah.
If we want to get there, there's some studying I need to do, there's some sacrifice
Right.
I need to do, there's some sleep I won't get, there's some money I won't have, there's some things that I will do as I'm dealing with the challenges of the dream.
Yeah. I think the word for all of that is sacrifice, right? I think that if the dream is that great, there's some level of sacrifice, not just to, and we want to make this clear, because I think everybody knows that there's some level of sacrifice to get it. I think that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about once you get it, there is still a level of sacrifice in order to maintain what it is that you now possess. And I think that's where we are going wrong. And what can happen is because you don't want to put the effort in, or because you were deceived about the amount of work that it would take, I think you could end up throwing the dream out because you mistakenly thought that because it because I'm facing challenges in the dream, maybe it's not what God had for me. Maybe it's not what I should have. And I think, to be quite honest, and to make it a little more tangible, I think we're seeing that in marriage. I think that's one of the greatest areas that you see it in, is people get married because for the happily ever after, right? But no one really focuses on the fact that, wait, I can have this, and this is what I wanted, this is what I desired, but it's not going to always be, pleasant days, that there's going to be some work, there's some maintenance that goes along with this wonderful gift that I have been given. And I think as soon as people start seeing those challenges, it's like, oh, well, maybe this wasn't for me, instead of sticking it out and realizing that there's some work that has to be done even in your dreams.
Oh, you said some good stuff, had me thinking there. No, and I hope other people are just watching this and thinking about this as well, about those challenges to maintain that dream. And so I really don't have anything else to say to that. I'm just kind of marinating on that part of it, the challenges with the dreaming and maintaining it.
Yeah.
But let's shift a little bit. Can we shift a little bit?
That's what I was going to say.
Because now we're talking about, we're not talking about that. That's why we spent some time too. So that's not where we're going. But tonight's topic is nightmarish dreams. Yeah. Right? And so you talked about things that we were deceived about. And I would say how we've also deceived ourselves about certain dreams. And there's certain ideas that we have. And I think, and how I interpret nightmarish dreams, there are certain dreams that we think we want, some places we want to be, some individuals we want, some power positions that we want to obtain and maintain, without understanding what it takes to get there, what it entails, and everything that goes along with it. Because see, sometimes we got to look at, is this a good fit for me? Is this individual, this position, this place, this move, this community, is this a good fit for me? That's number one. Number two is, what does it take to really get in this thing and maintain this thing? And is that really what we want? I think if we ask seriously, you know what, do I really want to marry this person? We talk about a lot of times when you say for better or for worse, you're at your best.
Yeah.
When you stated at the altar.
Sure, yeah. I don't know what worse looks like yet. So
sure
I'll do it.
Worse,
yeah,
right?
but I didn't know how bad worse could get.
Right,
yeah.
and when you're at your best, you have some points that you're like, all right, I'll deal with that.
Right.
But what if the becomes really horrible, right? And so there's some things that we are saying we want and we're laying hold to for whatever reason, and it becomes our greatest nightmare. I can't there's a gospel singer, and I can't remember his name right now, but it'll come back to me. And he made mention of the fact that, his mom was a single mom. And, she finally got a man that seemed to be her knight in shining armor. And he was everything to her. But that knight in shining armor became his nightmare. Because that man began to molest him and began to expose him to a lot of other things. Wow. And then he talked about what was a dream for his mother became a nightmare for him, and being torn between the two, which was, this is a nightmarish dream. He wanted a father. He wanted to be a whole family. He wanted to come together. This is perfect. We are all connected. It's like, wait a minute. Wait, this is not what I want. This is not how I vision. This is not how I wanted it to be. A nightmarish dream. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that's the tough space, right? Because when you desire something for so long, at some point in time, some of us we get desperate, right? And so we'll do anything to possess what it is that we have desired, right? So sometimes what can happen is we start missing all the signs. Right, so we miss the signs because it looks so good to me. It looks like what I have been praying for. It looks like what I've been desiring for so long, that I begin to make assumptions. Right, I begin to assume that this has to be what God has for me. Right, but don't ask about it. I don't pray about it, but it has to be it, because I'm so desperate to receive what it is that has been in my mind, that I stop heeding warning. And begin to just gravitate to what my own thoughts kind of lead me towards. And I think that's a dangerous place for us to be. I think that we should always be seeking, Holy Spirit to guide us and to lead us, because obviously, Holy Spirit is going to lead us in all truth and all righteousness. That's what he's there to do. But I think that we when we want something bad enough, we'll ignore all reason and kind of just jump to what it is we think we want.
There was a group of females, they were talking, and they had reconnected after, college and everything, and they were saying, girl, I remember you snatched up this guy and he was great and blah, 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 and all this great stuff. And then she started talking about, but this is what the marriage has been like. and this is what has happened as a result. And these are the diseases that I'm dealing with as a result of this as well. And so it was what everyone thought was not only her dream, but everybody's dream, what they envied, what they looked for, did not know that she ended up living a nightmare, not knowing that this man was not going to be who he said he was. He wasn't going to love her the way he was, that he had a double lifestyle, or he wasn't who he appeared to be. And now she was suffering a life-debilitating disease as a result of what she thought was her dream.
Yeah.
We're talking about nightmarish dreams, the things that you don't expect. You know, when you go to sleep, you don't expect to have a nightmare unless you have been living in a state of night terrors and torments, right? But you don't expect to have a nightmare, right? And actually, that's not what you want. You go to sleep, you relax, thinking that's exactly how it's going to be, and then you get that nightmare, and that was kind of shocks you. Or have you had one of those dreams that started out as a dream and then it flips and becomes a nightmare, and you're trying to hurry up and get up out of it? And I think that's how sometimes we go through life. We never expect something to turn out to be that nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, that abused spouse, male or female, you don't expect that when you marry that woman, she was going to end up flipping out on you and going crazy. Yeah. You did not expect that man who smiled and whined and dined you later to verbally abuse you or whatever. You did not expect that dream to become that nightmare.
Yeah. And I think what we're really saying is that there are some, and I think Lady Jean Johnson says it on Facebook Live, that there are warning signs before most of these things happen, right? There are some indicators, even if it's, as some of us would say, our gut feeling, which I'm gonna say that when the Holy Ghost begins to speak to you, there's these indicators, there's these red lights that start to flash before you, like that there's something here that needs to be paid attention to. And I think that half the time, like a lot of this could be avoided if we really began to kind of pay attention. Now, there's some things that are unavoidable in life. We know that. But we're talking about some of the things that really, that God begins to give us warning about, as long as we are open now to hearing what it is that he has to say, and we haven't walked in it with a preconceived idea about what the end result of this is going to be. I think that's when we start beginning to get too comfortable and begin to not listen to what he's speaking.
But do you think there's any way to really avoid a nightmarish dream? Do you think it's just something that everyone kind of has to experience? Because
I think there's something that we definitely don't have to experience. I think.
How do we avoid that?
For example, like there. My pastor would say, no name, no blame. So there's a friend that I have that I would probably say in the last 10 years has probably had 5 different jobs, and every one of those jobs there's a celebration because God has opened the door. Every single one, God has opened the door. I'm finally out of the situation that I was in before. Like God has done it. Like I'm so glad to be done with that. And 4, 5, 6 months in, it's the same conversation all over again because there's some things that the issue is actually not the job. Right. The issue is the person, right? And so the person has not dealt with themselves. And so everything that they go into appears like a dream, but because they haven't dealt with the truth about themselves, it always turns out to be a nightmare, right? And so in that instance, there is something that can be done ahead of time. You don't have to keep walking into these nightmare situations. You can deal with the truth about who you are, change that, and then walk into a new situation and not have to relive the same thing over and over
But are there
again.
Always warning signs? I mean,
no, that's what I said earlier. I don't think there's always warning signs at all. But we can't speak to the ones that we don't have warning signs about. Yeah.
So let's just think about some different scenarios, right? So you have the individual. This is the career I want to go into. I want to be successful at it. This is what I want to do. And I get into the career, and I didn't realize that there was all this cutthroat kind of things going on. I didn't realize that people were going to be sabotaging me or doing this, that, and the other. And what became my dream becomes my nightmare, and then I can't sleep, and I'm stressed out, and all these things like that. Right? Person didn't go in delusional, right? They wanted a career, they made the sacrifices to do it. It becomes this nightmare thing. Yeah. Right? What about the person, look, I want to do right. I'm a Christian, and me and my fiance, my boyfriend, we getting close, and we're trying not to have sex before marriage, so we're going to get married. And then in their naivety, they're young or whatever else, and then it's like a year, 2, 3 years down the road, and this person is bugging out. It becomes this nightmare. It may not even be that they're beating on you or anything like that. It could be just straight up like they are totally a different person. They told you they had a degree, then they have no degree at all. They weren't even in college. They You find out there's all this series of lies, like who is this person that I married, and it becomes this nightmare for you. I believe there's a certain innocence in which people enter into some situations, into these things because they long for it, right? And not just desperation, but you just want that happy ending. You want that love story. You want that career that's gonna just put you on a high. You want to feel like you matter. You want to feel all these things, and sometimes the way that you get into it just flips and it becomes this nightmare.
Yeah, and the unfortunate part about those situations is that you have to endure them. I think the hope in all of them is that God wastes no experience, and so there are lessons that we garner out of those situations. There's lessons that we take with us into our next, whatever our next is. I think that is the benefit that we get out of those situations, but those are unavoidable, right? Those I cannot see that coming. I literally did not have any symbols or any signs that this would end up in this way. Those are the types of situations that we have to pray and continue to ask God, like, God, help me to trust you, right? That in the end, right, that all things are working together for good, that you are some kind of way going to receive glory out of this, and that I will be better for the experience that I have.
All right, but okay, so let me throw out a scenario. We have somebody that got connected or hooked up in their marriage young, right? They had kids together, everything. They hooked up, they're in a marriage, and however many kids later down the road, it's like all hell is breaking loose, right? So this person is not even growing in God like, you are, or aren't really there for the kids like they said they were going to be, all this stuff, and you feel like I'm not listened to, this person is cheating on me, there's abusive times, all these things. I want to leave. I feel like other people are telling me to stay, but it's like hell on earth in this scenario. I have all these children. How do I respond to them? Blah, 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 blah. Right? And literally their dream from their youth has become a nightmare that is stifling them. What do we do with these nightmarish dreams? Are we just asking God, Lord, give us direction? Are we asking God, Lord, change this situation? What are we doing in the midst of this nightmarish dream? The thing that we thought we wanted was hell, whether or not on earth, whether or not it was our disobedience or whatever else that got us into it, whether or not it was the career, whatever it is, whatever that dream was, ends up becoming that nightmare. Like, whoa, not only did I not expect this, but it wasn't for me. It's not just that this is something challenging. It was not even ever meant for me. And now I'm in this thing. I ran full speed ahead, and I'm in this thing, and I'm living a nightmare. I'm a shadow of who I was or who I thought I would be. I have no outlet to who to speak to. What do I do?
That's a challenging statement. You know why? Because I think you speak to a broader almost theological debate on this idea of what is meant for me, that it was not meant for me. That's challenging because I don't believe necessarily that just because that there is great difficulty, great severe difficulty, I don't necessarily believe that means that it wasn't meant for me. I think that there are some horrible situations that we must endure that serve a greater purpose, and that's hard to hear. That's hard to experience. Even if you enter into it in disobedience or in your youth or in your naivety or anything like that, you think there's some things that there's some just nightmares, some nightmarish dreams that you were meant to go through. I think as long as we're on this earth, there's some nightmarish things that we are going to go through no matter what. You can't. There are things that you cannot avoid. Like, life is going to continue to happen. And as long as you are living, some nightmarish things are going to happen. But we're saying nightmarish dreams, right? So if we're saying nightmarish dreams, there was some illusion of it being better than what it was. There was some illusion, like a dream is something, and this is my interpretation, a dream is something that you want, that you long after, you go after, you enjoy having, you want to pursue it. And the nightmarish dream, which means it is something unexpected, not how you imagine that it would go. But isn't that life? That's what I'm talking. Isn't that life? Life is unexpected. Like I don't care how much you plan, something is going to come to derail what you thought was going to be the plan, right? And so the challenge of life is to to not be defeated by every twist and turn that it throws. Like, that is every aspect of life, right? Whether it's the dream that you planned, whether it's the one that you walked into, whether it's the situation that you inherited, whatever it is, I don't know that the source makes a difference. Life is going to happen to each and every single one of us. The question is, how are you going to endure it? Because there is something that each of us has to endure.
Okay, so with that statement you just made, let me read to you one of the people from our Facebook community. Shauna Snipe says, "This is absolutely why God must direct our paths, because we can waste time and labor going hard for something that was not for us. God sees up the road and knows what we don't know and see. Our dreams can be out of God's will." Now, how does that connect to what you were just saying?
I was going to say, here's the challenge even with that, right? The challenge with that, right, is that we serve this omniscient God, right? All-knowing God, right? And so when we say God has something else designed for us, well, he already knew that we were going to pick this path anyway. So doesn't that mean that this was all a part of his design as well? Because he already understood that you were going to pick this already. He knew that. He foreknew it, predestined it, like all of this. Like, it's a very
So are we saying our nightmarish dreams are God ordained?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say that they're God used.
God used.
I definitely would say that they're God. Everything that we experience is God used. God ordained, I would not say that. So, but foreknown by him, absolutely, right? And so I'm saying that to say that God has made provision even for the wrong steps that we have not yet made.
Okay, so going back to when you said meant for you, so if it's God used and not necessarily God ordained, it's still that God would bring meaning out of the nightmarish dream?
Absolutely.
What say you? I'm curious. Some people got some comments. I don't know if you can see some comments up there that I can't see. But if you disagree or you agree, listen, are these nightmarish dreams, are they avoidable? We're talking about, was it even meant for us? Is it something that you walked into freely yourself? Was it, if it's not God ordained, can it be God used? Is there still meant to be meaning coming out of that? Is it the idea that, nightmarish dreams is part of what life is? What is it that we're saying? Shauna came back with something. She said, "This is where God uses all things to work together for our good."
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, that's the same thing. But why don't you talk? Because you got this face on like you.
No, I'm just kind of pulling out the questions to kind of see where are we going.
What are
with
your
this.
thoughts about it?
But my thoughts, it's very interesting. I don't know. I'm still kind of letting some of this settle in with me. The idea, when I originally think,
challenging idea.
Yeah, because I don't know what people originally think when they hear the term nightmarish dreams. Right? And even thinking about what Jamel said, I thought you were referencing these dreams because you're thinking about this physical, literal thing.
Yeah.
Right? That can happen to you, and it's dream state, spiritual, all these other things, right? But when I think nightmarish dreams, I think about some things that we walk into willingly that wasn't even maybe meant to be. I'm throwing out that phrase. I don't know what else to use.
No, we can go with that. Yeah.
And yet we go into it and it becomes something totally unexpected, a total twist. And yes, God works all things out for the good of them who love them and all of that. But it becomes this thing that we did not expect whatsoever. So when I think originally nightmarish dreams, I don't know if I'm even thinking that it was meant for us. I think that's the thing that's thrown out there that I'm kind of battling with. Like, the idea of it being a nightmarish dream is that it's unexpected. Maybe we walked into it willing, but was it really meant for me? Could it have been avoided?
But I think for me, what I'm thinking about when I hear nightmarish dreams is the perspective. It doesn't mean that it actually is a nightmare. It means that I walked in with a skewed perspective to begin with. I thought that their dreams are some level of perfection, right? Like nothing really is wrong in the dream. It is perfect. It is my utopia. But that does not exist. So I get in it, and my perspective tells me that it's a nightmare because I have to do some things in it, or some things went awry that I didn't expect to go awry. And I think Paulette Jacobs, Paulette Henry, thank you for your comment. I think she uses a great example, right, which is Job, right? Job didn't do anything to inherit his situation, right? But here it was, right? Like, I didn't expect. I'm a happy man with money and with children and a wife. I have everything that I'm supposed to have. I'm serving God. I'm doing the things that I think are pleasing to him. And boom, like, all of that is taken away from me because life happened, right? I think that is kind of what you're talking about. Like, it wasn't that I went in with a warped perspective. I went in with the right motivation. I did the things that I thought I was supposed to do, and life still happened to me, right? And so I'm saying in that instance, that is the moment that you really have to cleave to God like you never have before to really understand, as Paulette talks about, that God is going to use this, right? He's going to use this either to get me back on track, is what she says, or he's going to use it, to strengthen me and fortify me for whatever my next is in life. But I have to trust that God is going to use what seems to be a nightmare and turn that thing around in the end. Like, that is the only thing that we have in that situation because it is out of our control.
Okay, so one thing that you said that kind of stands out to me was talking about our skewed perspective, and that's what the dream state is, right?
Yeah.
And when everything is perfect, it is that skewed perspective, right? And we're talking about how we're seeing it. So is it just that we need to accept these, what seems like nightmarish dreams, we just need to accept these things? Is it that we need to not think about how we can avoid these nightmarish dreams? Because even with the Job example, how many times have you found explanations of preachers trying to find meaning as to why Job went through it? And so there are comments about, well, did he have fear because he sacrificed for his children daily? Was he prideful because God had to ask him, where were you when I did this, that, and the other? Yet and still, we look for reasons for the dream to become,
I never heard anything like that, and I think that's crazy that people even try to find reason. And here's why I'm saying that, because I think the Bible is very clear on like, it starts off like there was a man named Job, right? He was perfect and upright. It is very clear about who Job was. And then it's very clear on how Job got into the situation. The situation had nothing to do with him, right? The Bible says that the devil was trying to find somebody to tempt, and God himself says, have you considered Job, right? So in that instance, I think it's very clear that Job didn't have any level of responsibility for what happened to him. Now, what I do think changed later on is how he was enduring. I think there were some things that came out in the process about the state of his heart as he endured the sufferings, that God needed to perfect some things in him as a result of that. But I think in terms of what caused it, I think the Bible's really clear that he did nothing to cause that.
But my argument is the fact that people find the need to find a cause for the nightmarish dreams. Yeah. It goes back to our state of where we are, which is the inability to accept that sometimes nightmarish dreams are part of life. It is part of the perfecting of who we are.
Right.
And that as the way we view things may not be the way that it is supposed to be. And maybe it is going back to what our perspective is about life, about dreams, about goals, about our next steps that we really need to address and bring before God. You're talking about really seeking God. You know, sometimes the first thing when we first started talking, and even I thought, how do we avoid these nightmarish dreams? But really, maybe it's not even that. It's God, how do I bring my perspective in alignment with your will so that whatever I go through, I can see it as you see it.
Yeah. Jesus says to us, in this world, you will have trouble, right? Like it's crazy because we spend so much time trying to avoid the inevitable. Jesus says it, right? He says, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world, right? So in other words, right, what was he telling us? He was giving us the formula for how to endure trial, for how we should respond in the face of what you are going to experience. You are going to deal with it, right? And I think that's what's kind of crazy to me, is because I think we miss that, right? So it's like, let's spend the rest of our time, even in our churches, this is a general statement, our messages are all about us prospering. Our messages are all about us living just this blessed life, and that's fantastic. That is a part of the promise of God, but you cannot negate that he also said that we were going to have some trouble that came along with that as well. So why aren't we preparing for both? Why aren't we preparing for, yes, to live this blessed, wonderful life, as well as preparing to endure the hardships that we must endure at the same time? They both have to coexist.
You know, there's some great comments coming up here. Shauna says, Job was in the will of God. God doesn't want us out of his will to learn a lesson. We have lessons to learn in his will that God places in our path to chasten and strengthen us. Paulette Henry says, what happened to Job is considered a nightmare. That though what happened to Job pushed him further in God. Things may happen that goes another way, but how we respond, turning to God, is what helps us.
Yeah.
And I think that's in alignment with the idea of bringing our perspectives before God. Not so much, Lord, how do I avoid this situation, but how do I bring my thought processes, my my will, the way I view things in alignment with your will, so that I don't have to be outside of your will to experience what I think is life. But everything that I recognize that, Lord, if I'm living upright before you, there's going to be things that I go through that is God ordained. It is your will that I go through these things, right? It may be he's going to use it for his will and his purpose, but maybe it's like, how do I bring me in alignment with your will so I can see as you would have me
and
see?
That affects your prayer life because when you are preoccupied with avoiding it, then that is what your prayer is. Your prayer is about a preoccupation of safety, right? Like, keep me safe, like keep me out of the hands of the enemy, which is cool. Like, nothing wrong with those prayers. I'm not saying that, right? But that is what the base of our prayer is all about, keeping me away from stuff, as opposed to God as I go through. Right? Because I'm going to, because you said it. But as I go through, God, don't let it go to waste. Like, show me who I am in you. Show me your glory in the midst of it. Like, show me how to endure hardness as a good soldier. Show me how to be patient and resilient. Like, show me all of that, because I know that comes with you, that I don't want to endure the trials of life in the same manner that the world does. Give me a different perspective. Give me a different insight. Give me the word to give to myself in the midst of this, so that I won't be choked up by the cares of this life, but that I'll always cleave to the truth of who you are. Like, give me that. Like, let that prayer consume you, as opposed to keep me from it all.
You know, one thing, and you bring this back to my remembrance, when I thought about, a lot of times we pray, God, keep this evil from me, and we should pray that. Prayers of protection and everything. But then sometimes when we're praying that, and we're still growing in God, a little naive in God, we think that means no evil or anything comes nigh to us. But then when we begin to search other scriptures that say, you know, I will go before you, I will be with you in the midst of this, I will not forsake you, I will not fail you. In the midst of this,
that means you got to go through it.
You going through. God is like, I got your back. I'm there with you. When David says, you know, yea, though I walk through the valley of the, he wasn't on a mountaintop.
I gotta go.
God is with me. Your rod and your staff coming means, God, you're with me even in my lowest point. When God says, you know, I'll let 1,000 fall on your left and 10,000 fall on your right, that means, wait, I'm in the middle of a battlefield here. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening here. You're with me, and you're allowing me to see this, and you're protecting me, but I'm still experiencing this nightmarish thing. You know, if you're in the middle of a battle and thousands are falling, that's a nightmarish thing.
For sure.
But it is knowing that God is with you in the midst of this nightmarish dream, right? This nightmarish reality, alter reality. A dream state is like an alter reality from what we don't expect, right? But knowing that God is with you in what you expect and what you don't expect. He will go before you. He knew it before it even come to you. He'll be right there. So instead of us, I agree, praying that we avoid these things, God protect us, God keep us, keep our family, and whatever prayer, let us make the right decisions, let us pick the right jobs and the right spouses. But after whatever it may be, God, let us trust and realize that you are with us, that you will not leave us, you will not fail us, you will not forsake us, and he emphatically declares that. And you allow us to see the evil that may be around us, and we may experience the tremor, but not the real impact, but knowing that it is about, God, connect me back to you so that I'm so with you, to know that you are with me and I'm with you in the midst of this, that you won't fail me because I'm right by your side, that you won't forsake me because I'm right there connected with you. Like, maybe that is what our prayers should be as we go through some of these things that we consider nightmarish dreams. It's all about, I guess, changing our perspective.
We quote this stuff and then we don't fully listen, right? So no weapon formed against me shall prosper. But if a weapon is in your face, like, that's a nightmare, right? Like, you got a gun pointed at me, not a literal one, right? But you got a gun pointed at me, that's a nightmare. But God says, like, look, wait, it's not going to prosper. Like
Right.
I got this. It's not going to prosper. And so I think the other thing is that we miss the peace of God, because the peace of God is exemplified in chaos, right? It is when everything else is chaotic that you need the peace of God. And so sometimes we call on some things from God. God, I need your peace, but we don't recognize that the time that we're going to need the peace the most is when chaos arises, when the nightmare comes. I'm going to need the peace. So we about to say peace. Peace. Love y'all.